Hello. Uh, this is a video, basically, as long as I stick to it, about opposites and how opposites attract. Uh, a lot of rich people, they have a lot of things. They have a lot of money. And at the same time, they don't have anything. They don't have anything. They don't care about anything they have, including their kids and their wife or their husband. They don't care. They're too focused on the money. And it clouds their judgment. And on the flip side, I don't have any money and I don't have a lot of things. And yet I have a lot. I have a lot of stuff. And it's not just stuff. Uh, what I have, you can't buy with money. What I have, the people that have money want to buy, but they can't. Doesn't matter. It's priceless. They can't offer me any amount of money to get what I have. It's not going to happen. I'm not for sale. Uh, there's things about me that even if I wanted to, I couldn't sell them. And I don't. And I would. And I wouldn't and I don't. And that's why I have the things I have. If I was going to sell them and be like those people, then I'd be like those people and not have anything, even though I have a lot. That's what they have. They have a lot, but they have nothing. They're poor as hell. They might have a big number on a spreadsheet or a bank account, but uh, the number is meaningless. It means nothing. And it means nothing to them, even though they would never tell you that. They would never admit that. But they know it means nothing to them. Because what they really want escapes them. What they've been chasing for their whole life, trying to buy with that money, they can't buy. You know, it's just like, it's not like, but I would dare to compare that if you had a Picasso, regardless of how much you pay for it, if you pay 50 million or $100 million for a Picasso, it's still Picasso's painting. It's not yours. You can't sign it. You can't put your name on it. You can't say, I made this. No matter what you do, no matter what the number is that you paid for it, you can never do that. It'll always and forever be a Picasso. And and in that way, I'm a Picasso. And you can't buy me. You can't own me. You can't control me. You can't manipulate me. And you can't influence me. No matter how much money you have, I don't care. Elon Musk doesn't impress me because he's got a lot of nothing, got a lot of headaches that I wouldn't want. So, and it's funny because everybody rants and raves about a Picasso painting and Picasso himself when he made the painting, whatever painting it is. He made it. He said, nah, and walked away. And everybody went crazy. He didn't go crazy. Everybody else went crazy. And that's what I do. A lot of my creations that you can find on my post my shirts, my God Code, my God or Devil, all that stuff, and everything else that I've ever created, which are on other platforms. Uh, I think of it as like nothing. It's like whatever, and I walk away. Everybody else goes crazy over it. I don't. Now I know the significance of it. I know that it's important. I'm sure Picasso knew his paintings were important. But being that he made them, he didn't have the same effect as somebody who saw it at a museum, like Da Vinci when he made Mona Lisa. You know, Mona Lisa is one of the most famous paintings on the planet. And Da Vinci didn't know that when he made it, that it was going to be that. Uh, but to Da Vinci, it was just another painting. Whether it was good to him or bad to him, I don't know. But it was just another painting. And it's like when a musician makes a song. Musicians, they typically write dozens and dozens of songs, and usually the one that gets on the radio and hits number one isn't always a song that's what they thought it was going to do. Like that was the one they liked. It's like that one. I hate that. Like Billy Joel hates "I Didn't Start the Fire." We didn't start the fire. He hates that song. He said it many a times, but it's everybody knows the song. It's very popular. Everybody sings along. But he hates it. So you know, and that's the thing. You're coming from the creative world to the consumer world. You know, um, Nike shoes that everybody loves. The guy who made them, like whatever, just a pair of shoes. You know, and everybody's going nuts over them. You know, and of course they're happy they're going nuts over them, especially with the shoes. I mean, it's not like a painting, but it is in a way. But the difference being is you make multiple copies of the shoe, and they're just as valuable. Whereas the painting, there's only one. They might make copies of the painting, but those copies are worthless. So, but for the shoe, if they can get people to go crazy over a shoe, then they can sell it at a higher price, and they can sell millions of them and make a lot of money. But they don't. They still, the creator of it, just it's a shoe. I make 1,000 shoes. They like this one. I don't know why. It's like the song. I make 1,000 songs. They like this one. I don't know why. You know. So it's the same uh, back and forth. You know. A director of a movie uh, directed many movies. The one that's most popular, they probably would never have picked it because they don't look at it from the same point of view. They look at the work that went into it, the hours, the this all the critical decisions they made in making the movie and what they included and excluded, and most of your movies are made in the editing room, and that's where what you see comes together, and the director may or not have all so much say about that. Uh, you'll give the director the credit, but he might not really deserve it, and because there's limits to editing, there's limits to what they can do. I mean, they change and they expand those limits as they go on, but a lot of your older movies, You didn't see the things you see in your newer movies because they didn't have those capabilities at the time. So, you know, and there's a lot of that going on. Uh, but it's just, Picasso looks at a painting, he looks, oh, I should have added a line there, or I should have maybe drew his head differently, or, you know, and the consumer looks at it like, wow, that's genius. That's really outrageous, you know. And Picasso doesn't see it that way. You can be sure. You know, someone who writes a book and they quote from it, they may or may not know when they wrote the book that this was going to be a heavily quoted line from the book. You know, it's like Robert Frost wrote how many poems, and you know, a handful are recited, and the rest are not. So, and his favorite poem is probably not the most famous poem that he's known for. So, just, they look at it differently. They come from a different perspective, and it's the opposites. You know, the consumer and the creators. It's just, and and that's what the rich people, when they look at me and they want what I have, I'm the creator and they're the consumer. They want to buy what I have. They want to consume what I have. And I don't look at what I have as being, I'm just myself. I don't see it as being great. Uh, you know, I can see where I have it and they don't. Just like Picasso can see that he has the talent to make the pictures where someone else doesn't and wouldn't come close. And that's the same. You know, it's just I have the I have the ability to be who I am, and you can't buy that. You know, I went through a lot of hell in my life. Still am. Not really. I'm out of hell, but I'm just recently. So, you know, I'm getting used to it. I'm getting used to being out of hell right at this moment. But you know, I went through a lot of hell to get to this point, and a lot of the people that want to buy what I have don't want to go through the hell that I went through to get it. You know, they don't want to go to jail. They don't want to go spend months and months and years in psych wards. They don't want to have a narcissist mother, two fathers that beat them. They don't want to go through any of that crap. You know, uh, it's just a crack addiction. I mean, I can go on and on, but they just, you know, it's like they want to buy the cream right off the top, but they don't want to do what you have to do to make the cream. Like everybody wants a sausage, but they don't want to know how it's made. You know, and that's the problem, and they never will. They never will. They'll never make their own sausage. So they're not interested. It doesn't interest them to make their own sausage. They want to devour. They want to consume the sausage. They don't want to make it. So that's why they'll have a lot of money. They'll have a lot of things. But at the same time, they'll have nothing. They'll have absolutely nothing. Nothing. And I remember that commercial, and then this commercial pissed off a lot of people. I think they pulled it because it pissed off a lot of people. Where the old guy was sitting there and throwing dollar bills into the fireplace and lighting them on fire just to keep warm. You know, I don't remember what the commercial was trying to sell, but that was what they were showing on the commercial. And people got really mad, burning money like that, just willy nilly burning money. And that's what rich people uh, they think of that as they think like that about money because they know how powerless it really is. They know they can't really buy what they want, and the money that they have doesn't help them get what they want. You could throw all the money you want at anybody, and they'll never be able to make a Picasso. So it's just, and that's the thing. They want to be Picasso. They want everybody to love them like people love Picasso. Um, they want that admiration. They want that respect. They want all that stuff. They want every time they put a pen to a paper, it goes for millions of dollars. And and these rich people, they walk into a store and that's why they drive Ferraris and Rolls Royces and stuff. So they're rich. That's how they're rich. If somebody pulls up in a Rolls Royce, he's rich. There's no question about it. And that's why they drive those cars, because they want you to know they're rich. They want the Picasso admiration. They want the Picasso persona put on them, you know. But again, they didn't make the Rolls Royce. They didn't make anything. They just bought it, and in a way they're trying to buy your love because you love money, because you were brought up in this American society, uh, slave society, where you slave for money. And the lie is if you slave hard enough, you won't have to slave anymore one day. And that never happens. Because even the guy with the Rolls Royce, he's still a slave. And if he stops being a slave, he's going to lose that Rolls Royce. So, yeah. That's why I don't need a Rolls Royce. I have everything that guy with the Rolls Royce is looking for without the Rolls Royce. you know, so what are you going to do? Some people have it, some people don't. And I have it, and they don't. And yes, it pisses them off. It pisses them off big time because they're big crybabies. They're big crybabies. Look at Trump; he's the biggest crybaby in the world. You know, and when they don't get what they want, they throw a tantrum. They throw a tantrum. So they locked me up because they wanted to stop me. They wanted to hurt me. They were hurting themselves, and they did hurt themselves in the end. But they were trying to hurt me because they were hurting. Hurt people hurt people. Never forget that. And that's what they did. But it didn't work. It didn't work. I'm high on the hog. I'm living good. I'm living great. I just had a meal I cooked for myself, a very good meal, so they can do what they want. But winning isn't part of that. They can never win because they never won in their life. You think like somebody like Elon Musk has won. He didn't win. He didn't win anything. He's got a trillion problems. That's all he's got. He's got kids that don't give a fuck about him. He's got ex-wives, or wives, or girlfriends that only call him for money. So, you want to live that life, go for it. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm very happy. I laugh all day. I went to the mall today. I had people come up to me and tell me how much they like me. You know, they love my hat. You know, they love the way I dress, the way I carry myself. And I'm not trying. That's the thing. See, that's what the rich people do. They own the Rolls Royce because they're trying. They're tryhards. They're trying to have admiration. They're trying to get people to come up to them and say, "Oh, I love your car," and they don't want that. That's not what they want. They don't want to hear you love my car because they know that. They want to hear what they don't know, which is, "Oh, I love your hair. I love your eyes. I love the way you dress." They want to hear that. But you see, my outfit, I don't know. I don't know where I got it, but I'm lucky if it cost $100 with the shirt, the shoes, the shorts. I don't think it costs. It probably cost $50 for the whole outfit. Well, the shoes maybe a little more, but it wasn't a special outfit. I didn't go to Bloomingdale's and buy it, or Neiman Marcus. I don't have to. I don't have to walk in those stores. I do walk in those stores just to look at the prices for $800 for a T-shirt. It's like, what do you want, drugs? you know. And believe me, when somebody spends $800 on a T-shirt, they tell everybody. I spent $800 on this. Why they do that, I don't know, because I think they look like idiots. But that's why they love the handbags, because the handbags, like adult, I don't know, Michael Kors, or I don't know I'm not into handbags. I don't know what the high-end handbags names are and stuff, but people that know them, and they know what they are, and you don't have to say I spent $20,000 on this handbag. They know you did, and that's why people go for the knockoffs. They're trying to buy that. They're trying to buy people. They want people to say, "Oh, is that a blah blah blah?" And the ones that buy the knockoffs say, "No, yeah, it is. Yeah, it is." They don't say it's fake, So they bought it at Canal Street, but again, I don't need a Rolls Royce. I don't need a handbag. I don't need $1,000 outfit. I don't need a $500 pair of shorts. I'm good with a $10 Amazon special. you know, and and I don't walk around thinking I'm wearing a $10 Amazon special. I think, wow, it looks good. I'm I'm very happy I only spent $10 on it. It's like that's my attitude. You know, and yet I have people come up to me and say, "I love how you look. I love what you're wearing. I saw you last week, and I love what you were wearing last week." That's what people do to me, and I don't know them. I don't know. I know you more than I know them. you know, so it's not like I know these people. They're not getting anything from me. They don't ask me for money. They don't want my phone number. They don't. They just want to compliment and move on, and that's fine. I'm happy with that, and that's pretty much how I handle it. I don't look for a phone number. I don't look for. I don't even know their name. Don't want to know their name. Um, but the rich people, they they want you to ask their name. They want you uh, to ask for their phone number, their autograph. There you go. Everybody wants their autograph. It's like nobody asks me for my autograph. you know, but I'm just that's why I started the video with talking about opposites, and I think you can see how this video is about opposites and the paradox. It's the paradox of the world, that you have so much, yet you have nothing. I have nothing, but yet I have so much. And that's what it is. It's the paradox.